recruited from where to go to Geelong?
Well, I was recruited from Geelong Grammar, Lou.
Now, what's the old saying about Geelong Grammar?
Well, I don't know. It'll be old, though. Go on.
No, well, isn't it if you can't get a girl, get a Geelong Grammar boy?
Maybe that's an old saying of yours, perhaps.
Now, Sam Newman isn't what you'd call a larrikin. He's more of a lair. These days, the popular radio and television personality likes to drive around town in flashy cars. In his playing days, the lemon rinse kid ran around in flashy boots, white ones.
I was I? I was the first person. Well, I got paid to. Why else do you think anyone would make an idiot of themselves wearing white boots?
Well, do you think you made an idiot of yourself by wearing them?
Well, it was novel, and I suppose if they say, here's some extra coin to wear white boots. Actually, it started out because I got some boots in the cricket season. They didn't have any of the black leather in because they were making cricket boots at the time. And Dick Wicks from Adidas said, would you mind wearing these boots? We'll make them up in this kangaroo leather. Should we be saying that with the ecology the way it is? Anyhow, make these white boots up with the kangaroo leather, some albino kangaroos they had culled just previously, and I wore the boots while we were waiting for the black leather to arrive.
Sam played 302 games in his 16 years at Cardinia Park. I just love reminding the big fella that he played his 300th in a dressing gown.
No, I started on the bench, a monumental coaching and tactical move by Bill Goggin. You remember Bill, who lost the State of Origin game a couple of months ago at the MCG, first since Bob Davis lost it 30 years earlier. Bill decided that on the 300th game I should start on the bench against Collingwood, but after 10 minutes I came on and played at centre-half forward on Renee Kink, and of course was one of the best five on the ground in the 90 minutes I was on.
Every footballer can remember his first league game, but it was Sam's third senior appearance with the Cats that will always stick in his mind, literally.
And, we were playing Carlton this particular day, and the number one ruckman for Carlton on this particular Saturday was a guy by the name of Murray Sankey. Do you remember him?
Heard of him, yes.
Now, John Nichols wasn't playing that Saturday. I'm not sure why, but he wasn't playing. And Farmer and I had this plan worked out where I'd run across the path of the opposing ruckman at the centre bounces, and this would give the great man Farmer a chance to take the ball out of the air and give one of those great hand passes that he revolutionised the game with. So the umpire bounced the ball at the start of the game, and I ran across Sankey's path for the first time, and Farmer hit the ball out to Tony Polinelli, who kicked it to our centre-half forward, John Sharrock, and in the opening 2 seconds of the game, Sharrock kicked a goal on the run, and we hadn't moved out of the area where we'd contested the hit-out. And while the boundary umpires were bringing the ball back to the centre, Sankey said to me, don't do that again. I was 18 at the time and thought I was pretty tricky, you know, had the arms all oiled up and I was smelling like a rose, looked like Robocop I looked like. And I drew myself up to my full height and I looked him square in the eye and I told him to go forth and multiply in just the 2 words. I'd heard Ted Whitten tell someone to do it the week before and he'd had enormous success with it. So I thought, well, this is what the game's about, learning on the spot as you go. Sankey never batted an eyelid and I thought, well, this is unbelievable. I'm starting to frighten people now. I've only been in the game a minute and I'm actually starting to intimidate people. So the umpire bounced the ball again. Second time, I ran across Sankey's path for the second time. Farmer tapped the ball to Bill Goggin, who stab kicked it to Doug Wade. And I was just waiting for Doug to go back and kick perhaps our second goal of the game in the opening 10 seconds of it. And Sankey knocked me out. Round arm me from behind, broke my jaw in 2 places. Absolutely true this. Had it wired up for 10 days. Could only take in liquid food for a week. The only reason I bring this up is it's amazing the things that go through your mind when you're in a semi-stupor. I remember lying in the middle of the ground thinking how neatly I fitted in the circle. No chalk on the hair, none on the shoes, lying there like a railway sleeper. And in those days, they were very adverse to taking you off the ground because there was no such thing as an interchange bench. So you either had to be physically dead or so close to death that they thought that you'd probably play no active part in the game for the rest of it. So I'm lying in the middle of the circle and the trainers, there's 4 of them over me at that stage, and had a little bit of claret started to trickle out the side of my nostrils. And Doug eventually kicked our second goal, and this is why I always remember Polly Farmer. What a great man. He was the first man that taught me the game is bigger than the individual. He came back to the centre. I'm still lying in the middle of the circle, and he parted, and I'll have to clean this up, Lou, you'll appreciate this. He parted me, parted the trainers, looked down at me, and I vaguely looked up at this sort of great man that I'd revered all my life, and he spoke to me, perhaps for the first time in my career. He didn't speak to many people. He was a silent achiever, Paul. He looked down and he said, John, he said, we're on a roll and you're holding things up. Could you piss off? And I thought, what a man. What a man, just to have that sort of capacity to hope the team fires. rather than worry about individuals in it.
Sam can think himself lucky he was never ironed out by this bloke, Big Bad Mel Brown.